deal. We're now into hour number 2 on this Thursday edition. We are broadcasting worldwide. I want to thank all of you for joining us again on this Thursday edition. It is already the second day of May 2013. And before I get to one of our top stories today that ties in with all the other news, high school student faces 20 years for Obama Facebook threat. And all he said was, F the government, F Obama. Now, again, I don't use a lot of profanity because I think there's better words to describe things. And I think if we obsess just over Obama, we actually give the globalists, the upper hand, because then when their system moves forward with a new puppet, the next Republican or whatever, then it'll take a while to then expose that guy instead of exposing the people, the special interests that are doing this. And that are running over our rights and liberties and trying to codify laws to override our laws, which is completely unconstitutional and flies in the face of liberty. So we're going to get to that because, here's the deal. I think we've got a duty now to go to Facebook and to go to Twitter and everywhere else and say what this guy said. So we're going to get to that in a moment. But talk about free speech. They can censor us on Facebook, which they're doing at epidemic levels when we sent out photos of the drill, the bombing drill, the police with the backpacks, the military with the backpacks. The FBI freaked out and said, media, don't look at these at the press conferences. They had tried to have Secret Service outside their jurisdiction go and get in our reporter's face. There's video of all that. They're really clearly trying to cover something up. And we said they'd have a drill. They had a drill. We said the FBI and CIA would be all over these guys. They probably would have been sent as CIA, at least Tamerlan, to the Caucasus under CIA programs because they run all the major terror in the Caucasus. Basically all of it. The Russians blew their cover. All of that came out because it wasn't hard to predict this. Most terrorists staged a provocateur to one extent or another. They at least opened the door up. And they used it to take our freedoms. We predicted that, and they freaked out. And Facebook, we have the screenshots of this, and our listeners sent us the screenshots, would not let us post articles linking to the Boston Globe about a drill. Because they're so scared that if people find out about this, ladies and gentlemen, they're going to discover they knew about the whole thing, bare minimum. Just like the first World Trade Center bombing where the government cooked the bomb, trained the driver, all the rest of it. So we're going to go to your calls here in a moment. But I wanted to get, Jakari Jackson to show TV viewers, radio listeners, you can go check out. It's on InfoWarsStore.com. The new May issue of the magazine is in. It will guaranteed sell out. We sell them in groups of 10 up to 100 at cost. At cost. Where it comes up like $1 a magazine. Big, color, glossy, the old-fashioned Rolling Stone, version. Hundreds of thousands of those are going to go out. We're going to put about 80,000 on the streets of Central Texas from Austin down to San Antonio. And there are 3 bumper stickers, full-size, Infowars.com, Save the Constitution. So there's one that says Infowars.com, one that says Save the Constitution under Infowars.com, and a PrisonPlanet.com. And if you will, especially in San Antonio and Austin and other areas in the Hill Country, if you will go and get these 4 or 5 of these off the stand before other people get them and put them on your barn, on your book bag, on your car, give them to friends, we can put, just in Central Texas, 300 and something thousand bumper stickers out. And by the way, if this is successful, I'm going to start putting in, I may do 3 or 4 pages of bumper stickers in each magazine. We may try to put 10 million bumper stickers up around America and see how the New World Order likes that. Because just like the globalists, when they were controlling the CIA and hadn't fully taken it over yet, were claiming they were overthrowing authoritarian countries for the betterment of the world. Really, they were doing it for Standard Fruit or was it United Fruit or, all these other interests. We can overthrow the globalists in the mind by calling them on their fraud, by calling them on their hoax, by calling them on how out of control and disconnected they are. And a big way to do it, just as the French resistance put up V for victory, to counter the swastika, we are going to put Infowars.com bumper stickers up all over America, on your business, on your property, on your business sign, wherever it is legal and lawful, or in commons areas where everybody puts up stickers and things and it's left alone in the bar district. They'll freak out when we do it and say, how dare them put an Infowars sticker up where thousands of other stickers are. The point is, get them out to everybody. And if this is a success, it cost me about $40,000 to do this. I will just pump the money, because that's why they're so freaked out about us making money. I will pump the money into initiatives like this. I will pump it into more reporters, more journalists. I want to hire a bunch of classically trained journalists. We're doing interviews right now with newspaper editors and other people to come in and help us go over all our data, to help us codify, to help us hire more writers, more journalists. We're trying to go to the next level. With me as kind of the whirling dervish, Tasmanian, patriot at the middle of it. But I'm trying to build a larger organization to really take on the New World Order and really find the truth, because it is a very complex world. And I, in general terms, know the globalists are distasteful, degenerate, eugenicist-based, predatory scum who try to sell the world on their altruism when it's actually the opposite. But we're going to drill down into all their operations. We're going to go after them on every front. That's what I'm really attempting to do. So buy the Pro Pure water filters. I don't usually plug stuff this much because it's freaking the system out. I'll start plugging it even more. You don't like me raising money? Well, you watch. In fact, if I get $1 million donation, I will spend every dime on it publicly to put bumpers. $1 million would probably put, I haven't done the math, if it's like $40,000 to get 300, 400,000, I think it's like 400,000 stickers total, and then put them in the magazine. What would $1 million, how many stickers would that be? Tens of millions. I mean, it's just crazy. We've got the $100,000, $150,000 film contest just to get a bunch of viral, awesome films made, and then have a winner, and then make films, and then we're going to put the films out for free on the internet so they can be seen hundreds of millions of times. How do you like that? New World Order, White House-run Media Matters, all you other scum. How do you like that? We're not going to stop. And here's what the CIA-run National Review had to admit. They said if Jones has done anything, he has been the most successful person at creating grassroots aggressive journalists like We Are Change and like all the other groups. They accurately recognize that we have pioneered the idea of citizens, because I've been doing this for 18 years, going into press conferences and asking real questions and shutting their lies down. And they are scared of every one of their press conferences having citizen journalists. Even if you don't agree with me on a lot of stuff, you think you've got the answers? Go in there and shake it up. Don't be cookie cutter. Go into those press conferences and take them over. And I want the money to hire 15 reporters and fly them all over the country to take over press conferences. That's what I really want to do. But it takes money to do that. So they're scared of us making money. Go to Infowars.com and just click on the sponsors, support the sponsors, support our local AM and FM sponsors, buy the books, the videos, the T-shirts, the ball caps, all of it. Just go crazy and just fill our coffers full of money. And we will sit there and just pour that money out on top of the New World Order in the most vicious, truth-focused, savage attacks you can imagine. You better believe it. I'm going right for the jugular on these people. I'm foaming at the mouth, and I'm not ashamed of it. I'm here to shake people out of their trance, out of their coma. They're now arresting kids that say F Obama. You got a right to say that. Bunch of authoritarian scum. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Jakari Jackson, tell us about, so get the new magazine, the May magazine at cost, or get a subscription, give a gift subscription. Every new subscriber and all the other subscribers will get this issue with the 3 bumper stickers in it. I know we've been showing TV viewers that. Everybody else can go to InfoWarsStore.com. Jakari, I'm going to go to calls. They're all holding patiently, but get into this high school student faces 20 years for Obama Facebook threat.
Yes, and keep in mind, Alex, just as for the context of it, you remember last election cycle where many people were threatening Mitt Romney. You know, similar to this guy, I'm pretty sure most of the people were just blowing off some steam and whatnot. But
yeah, but they were on Facebook and Twitter saying, kill Mitt Romney.
Oh, yeah, they said kill Mitt Romney.
Now, I'm going to shoot him, and I'm not saying that media. Don't take it out of context. And White House run Media Matters and people.
Like to do
what
that.
I'm saying is other people were saying it by the thousands, and it was no big deal. This guy just said F him. He didn't call for violence.
Well, he did have a rap song, and most people don't take rap songs seriously. You had Snoop Dogg recently had the non-violent song that he made. But I just want to read this one article, or this one quote from the police chief. He posted a thread in the form of a rap where he mentioned the White House, the Boston Marathon bombing, and said, "Everybody, you will see what I'm going to do, kill people." And then he went on to say, F politics, F Obama, and F the government. And if we can put his picture back on the screen, you can see him right there if you're on prisonplanet.tv. That guy does not look like a terrorist mastermind to me. But if you've been watching the news
looks
lately,
like an idiot.
Yeah, they've been saying all 19
and sure, fully
getting into
it, then a rap song where he says, "You're not going to believe what I'm going to do to the government." Well, that just, you don't get arrested for saying I'm going to do something to the government. You have to actually be planning to do something to the government.
Yeah, and how this happened is, I guess one of his friends at school, or somebody at school, saw his Facebook post, and they took it into the principal, the administration, and the administration called the police. And I guess the guy was arrested and charged and potentially faces 20 years for a Facebook threat. And many people write many.
Yeah, but see, the way the media spun it, it was F. Obama. What he's really in trouble for is saying kill people in a rap song.
Oh, yeah. It's a rap song. I mean, how many people has Eminem, Dr. Dre, 50 Cent, how many people?
Eminem, Dr. Dre, they're always talking about killing people. And again, they put that on it. Well, it's like kids. They have all this violence in video games and culture, and then kids get in trouble because they're playing with water guns in their front yard now. I mean, it's just totally disproportionate. You can't be this big violent empire and then not have people sit there and at least mimic it in their words.
Yeah, just like when you did the report about the kids and the Pop-Tart guns and the Hello Kitty guns, and then we went to Toys R Us and all the other toy stores, and you just saw just aisles of water guns and dart guns, and dress up like the military and shoot your sister and all that kind of stuff. It's definitely something that's being advertised to kids. Even this guy probably listens to a lot of gangster rap music and just decided to imitate it.
Hi, Ted Anderson, president of Midas Resources. With over 30 years of experience in the precious metals business, I can tell you without a doubt, we are facing the most dangerous and volatile times, not just in the United States, but worldwide. Peace of mind is gold and silver. Now is the time to invest in gold. When it comes to bullion coins, our prices are competitive and the closest to melt. If it's numismatics you're looking for, we have some of the best deals out there. Visit MidasResources.com today or go to Infowars.com and click on the link to see our daily specials. Here's an example of one of our long-term specials we've been offering for more than a year. 2 silver dollars from the turn of the last century, plus 2 powerful films, The Obama Deception and The American Dream. We also add in the book Dishonest Money, all for $72 and free shipping. The most trusted name in precious metals is Midas Resources. Call 1-800-686-2237 or go to Infowars.com. I'm Ted Anderson with Midas Resources.
We are now only entering the edge of a global financial superstorm, the likes of which the planet has never seen. Here in the United States, the private Federal Reserve is giving more than $85 billion of taxpayer money a month to themselves and other offshore foreign banks. And the worst part is, we have to pay the bank's interest on the money we give them. There is now a race between the global central bank mafia cartels to see who can devalue their country's currencies the fastest. We are already seeing big increases in inflation at the grocery store and the gas line. This will eventually lead to hyperinflation. More than a dozen top globalists like George Soros have been buying record amounts of gold while at the same time bad-mouthing it to the public. Don't just listen to what they say, watch what they do. For more than 6,000 years of recorded human history, gold has been the ultimate hedge against uncertain times and inflation. Before investing in metals, it is important to do your own research and find a reputable company. Midas Resources has the highest Better Business Bureau rating of an A+. Unfortunately, very few precious metal companies can boast that. Midas Resources has assembled one of the most educated, researched, and professional teams of brokers in the industry. The evidence is overwhelming. In uncertain times, gold and silver is safe harbor. Now is the time to invest in gold. Call 800-686-2237 and Midas Resources will mail you 10 reasons to own gold absolutely free. No shipping. It's absolutely free. And finally, Ted Anderson wants to challenge you to find any deal that comes close to his 2 silver dollars at cost with free shipping with 2 free films and a book for $72. That's more than $160 value for $72 shipping included. Click the link at Infowars.com to go to the MidasResources.com specials page. Brought to you by MidasResources.com and Ted Anderson, the trusted name in precious metals.
All right, let's go to your phone calls. Ahead of Master Sergeant David Schmecker, who, of course, was arrested, and his video has been seen, I don't know how many tens of millions of times online, out in rural central Texas on a marching with his son. No. Master Sergeant David Schmecker was arrested outside Waco, CJ. He sure was. Absolutely. CJ just popped in and said Connecticut. And that's good, because I have the guys pop in occasionally. David Schmecker was another guy who was in Connecticut. Yeah, see, because I kept telling you guys that I wanted to get the Master Sergeant back on the radio show. Man, this has been one hell of a trip being out of town. I will tell you that right now. Let's go ahead and go to phone calls here. Let's go ahead and talk to Charles in Michigan. You're on the air, Charles.
Hey, good day, Alex.
Hey, buddy.
I wanted to talk about trying to expand InfoWars a little bit. I got two issues. First issue, you should try to get David Knight and Zachary Jackson their own syndicated radio show, maybe a little bit later on in the day across the nation, so more people can get the word of InfoWars out.
Say that again?
I said you should try to get David Knight and Zachary Jackson, because they're really good together. You should try to get them their own syndicated radio show associated with InfoWars. You know,
and
like
what do you
local radio stations?
Yeah, I don't really understand what you're saying, man.
You know how you got your radio show is on local radio stations and everything. Well, they should have a. I was saying you should try to get them to get their own show on local radio stations later on in the day. So when people are driving their car, they flip through. On their way home at 6, 7 o'clock at night, they can hear Zachary Jackson and David Knight on.
Yeah, it doesn't really work like that. We're starting a news operation, and then we do plan to do radio down the road. But it's not as easy as you think to just start shows and then syndicate them.
Second issue I wanted to talk about was Michael Savage. I was kind of thrown back by you kind of promoting him, because he never mentioned anything about InfoWars, even the day of the show. I listened to him to see if he mentioned he was on your show. He never mentioned you once. His backstory is something else. I mean, he used to hang out with Allen Ginsberg back in the 60s, which was... Yeah,
well, he says that stuff that's been said about him and that is not true. And Paul Watson does listen to the show and does say that he plugs InfoWars and said that we should ask questions about the drill at the bombing. But I don't listen to Savage a lot. I mean, I think compared to a lot of the other people on talk radio, he raises some important points. I don't agree with some of what he says. I just had him on the show because they were trying to basically black out his book about communist Chinese influence in our media, which we're seeing more and more with Iron Man and World War Z and the remake of Red Dawn. They cut that as well. So that's just some of what's going on.
I just, a lot of times, like he was on another day or a couple weeks ago, and he said he's seen a Muslim woman going into the store, and he said, I looked into her eyes and I've seen the devil, because Islam's the devil, and he's really a hate monger, and he wasn't as bad before he got fired, and then when he was picked up by Cumulus, it's like he sold his soul. And
Michael Savage was not fired. Michael Savage got out of his contract with Talk Radio Network. That's on record.
Okay, but when he got picked up with Cumulus, his everything changed, because he used to be a lot better. He seemed to have went downhill, and I personally think he works for the globalists.
Well, I tell you what, next time we get him on, we'll open the phones up. How's that sound? You can tell him that.
I had tried everything. I'd cut back the amount of food I was eating. I was lifting weights and jogging, but nothing was working. My body was literally starving for minerals and trace elements as well as key vitamins. And as soon as I had that, I immediately could eat half of what I was eating previously and be satisfied. Now, there are hundreds of great products at InfoWarsTeam.com, but I want to point out the 3 that have helped me lose 37 pounds in just 2 months. Products like Beyond Tangy Tangerine, Pollen Burst, and Rebound. When I started taking the Tangy Tangerine and other products every day, I lost more than 37 pounds in just 2 months. Now that's results. I want to challenge my listeners to go to InfoWarsTeam.com and to order just 3 of their products, and you will see the changes in the way you look, feel, and in your appetite almost immediately. Start your journey to health and wellness today. InfoWarsTeam.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back live, and my philosophy is very, very simple. Whatever the globalists promote, whatever they push with all their excuses and reasons, I oppose, I resist. If they're for open borders, I'm against it. If they're for taking my guns, I'm against it. If they're against the family, I'm against them. If they are against national sovereignty, I stand against that. That's a good place to start. And then you can go through each one of those topics and issues and see how there's a global corporate government forming that is above the law and exempts itself from its own laws that it foists onto us, and that is not trying to build a better world altruistically, as they claim, but that is trying to secure their ill-gotten gains that predominantly come through fractional reserve banking. Fractional reserve banking, where these select groups are allowed to basically create all the currency and credit they want and then loan it out to you on interest. Well, if you can loan out unlimited money at interest, what are you really looking for? More fiat money back? No, you're looking for people to get overextended, domesticated, in debt, and then collapse the society to consolidate it. Like the Willie Nelson song with the Highwaymen. The bankman tells me he likes me, says he's my friend, but he ain't my friend. I forget the exact words of the song, but that's basically it. You know, bankman says he likes me. No, that's not what's going on. Now, is that saying there might be a corner banker who's a nice guy and actually tries to take risk and loan people money? Yeah. But it's the little banks that aren't allowed to basically engage in all the same type of creative bookkeeping the big banks can do. And all those trillions in 0% interest money that the Federal Reserve's created for its member banks, it's loaning you out that money at sometimes 30, 40, 50% interest. They've gotten rid of the usury laws in this country, or they've reversed them depending on the state, where now corporations have protection from usury, but individuals don't. And you go up to these poor people that don't know what they're doing, and you say, oh, I'll give you this loan, it's real good. And it turns out to be like 30% compounded interest, and you ruin that person's life and make them a debt slave, and then you call that free market. And then meanwhile, if you criticize those big banks, you are anti-establishment. You hate the government. You are an extremist. Our government, more and more, is a collection of private central banks that have come in and taken this country over, and they brag about it in the foreign press, how they've conquered Europe, how they've conquered America, how they're technocrats above the law, on and on and on. Brett in Montana, you're on the air. Welcome.
Hey, thanks. Great show today.
Thanks, buddy.
And, you know what, it's really amazing to watch all of this unfold since the Boston bombing. Because, you know, back in 9/11, I wasn't awake yet. And to watch you guys break everything down and just be on their heels, it's something really inspiring.
Yeah, it is historic that we were able to get on the bombing day one, and that the drill came out of the bombs, and the guys being cased by the FBI and CIA connections, and Russia blowing their cover and killing the one brother, and tape of them saying, don't shoot, don't shoot. You know, all the rest of it, you know, we didn't do it, we didn't do it. The other brother climbing out of the boat, not shot in the throat, and then minutes later, barely can't, you know, and you know, all bloody, can't talk, and then saying he confesses from his hospital bed. When in the American system, or any other free system, have you ever had the person in the hospital bed and they leak that he's confessed? So that you prejudice everyone. I mean, I hope they don't put me in the hospital, cut my larynx out, cut my vocal cords out, and say, Alex confesses. You know, oh, yeah, I mean, why not just torture people right there in the courtroom? They already drug people now in the courtroom to make them, quote, tell the truth. Why not have electroshock therapy right up on the stage? I mean, they already, guys, pull this up. Because I was telling the reporter this earlier. He didn't believe me, and I don't blame him. It's so crazy. Pull up a court rules taser can be used to make you answer questions. I'm sorry, caller, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say real quick, I was talking to my oldest son last night, who's still down in the L.A. area. He's 15, and he thinks it's all rigged, inside jobs, but they're not fooling anybody, and the word is getting out. And so a couple things that I wanted to cover was a local story that happened here in Columbia Falls. You covered the story, I think it was the day of the bombing. So, I've been waiting for all of this to kind of go over so I could call about this. That gentleman, Mr. Downen, who was tasered and killed, there's a lot of things that they're really not talking about in that news article that you got from the local paper here. My wife actually worked with Mr. Downen at the assisted living home before he was transferred to the VA home, and my mother actually works at the VA home, and so I know for a fact that the residents there are actually allowed to leave and go about the business as long as they know that they're going to make their way back. So for them to report that he was running away, first of all, is a lie. And,
Yeah, for those that don't know about the case, it's funny that I mentioned tasers, and that's what you called about. That's the case where they squat on him for like 10 minutes and beat him to death, right? And break his neck?
They tasered him, and
then he was the son. He was actually the son of a cop, too, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know he's a World War II veteran, I believe. But he was.
Well, I mean, there's so many people they taser and kill. But I mean, I saw the case in Southern California with the schizophrenic guy whose dad was the cop who they absolutely beat to death, and they sat there and squatted on him and killed him. And I mean, that's just what goes on. And my point on the tasers is this is all part of paying compliance. But go ahead and get to the point. I mean, what specifically are you saying about this case?
Well, I just would like to get your opinion on what to do to stand up to local tyranny, because I've never done this before, and I have serious issues with the local police force and the way they're acting, along with the local.
Well, this is how police act in a third world country, and America is by and large now a third world country, and it's going to get worse, man. I mean, look, people want status. And the ultimate status in a tyranny is the uniform. This is the worship of the uniform. This is the North Koreatization of our republic. And I would go to city council and talk about what you're seeing the police do. I would go 100 times. I would run for office and bring it up in the debates. I would form a citizens group that films the police, and you will end up reforming them in the long term. What has an effect is this just the Chinese water torture of just drip, 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 never stopping. I appreciate your call, man. Good points. Let's go ahead and talk to Rodney in California. His kids have been taken away, he says. He's watching on prisonplanet.tv. Go ahead, you're on the air.
Yeah, hi, Alex. It's a little bit of confusion. This is Rodney, but I was calling about the kids that were taken away in California. I'm calling you from Paris, France. So it's interesting that you were talking about France a little bit earlier on, and by the way,
yeah, that's funny. My screen said, kids taken away. I guess you're speaking about kids being taken away in California, and you're calling from France. So go ahead.
Exactly, and I heard you speaking the other day, and just saying that you had that that feeling in your stomach, when you saw that video about those people getting their kids taken away. Exactly what you mean, because I mean it was absolutely exactly the same thing for me when I watched that video feed. And I need to, and this follows also the things that happened in Florida as well with the parents that they found a little bit of marijuana on and they took their kids to. That's just incredible for me. And I left the U.S. 13 years ago. I go back several times a year, but I'll be honest with you, with all the stuff that I see, you know, on YouTube and stuff for police brutality that I've been checking out since I've been awake, you know, it's actually very scary. And I need to call you out on something, because you know, I'm not advocating violence in any way, shape, or form. But honestly, Alex, I mean, from your heart, if that was you, and you were at your house and some police and children's services came to your house and tried to take your kids away from you, what would you do?
By the way, I haven't even played that video yet. I sent it to Chris on Monday, and I never got to it. Guys, will you pull up that 4-minute video? It was in Adon Salazar's article, and I've since turned on the television and saw it on national TV, where the couple didn't like the hospital care they were getting, and so they took their child to another hospital. So the cops came and attacked and knocked the dad down in his house and then say, you're going to give me that baby, and then take it away. And they're just nuts. It's the family courts where there's no due process. They can do basically whatever you know they want to us. And yeah, it did make me physically ill. And then you say you're calling me out because I'm not calling for violence, but I mean, you said I'm calling you out, but I'm not calling you out because you're not calling for violence. But what would you do? Number one, I would know how to talk to the scum at the hospital and say, look, I know you criminals kidnap kids all day, and you're on power trips, and you're little authoritarians, just like the Stanford university study. You'd follow any order you were told. But you've engaged in malpractice here. You shouldn't have the child, and I would first have my lawyer call them, knowing how criminal they are. Because if they hurt your kid, they'll try to blame you. If they kill your kid, they'll try to blame you. If they shoot him up and your kid dies in the hospital, they'll try to blame you. This is what they do. Not everyone's a criminal that works at the hospital, but there's a reason authoritarian regimes always use hospital people. They'll follow orders. They have a disdain for the patients in many cases because they're sick of dealing with you all day, and they see humanity in bad shape. And we're just a decadent satanic society. And yeah, the hospitals are there to kidnap your kids. They're there to prey on you. And when you go in to have a baby, they ask your wife, you know, are you doing okay with money? Is he nice to you? And they don't read you your rights there. They're about to take your kid. Especially if you're a good-looking, blonde-haired, blue-eyed woman, or if you got black hair and green eyes, your kids are gone no matter what happens. They've got like a $500,000 bounty on those kids. And they're there feeding on the kids, just like all authoritarian regimes have done. They want the children. And now it's a national news story that, you know, they almost killed these people's kid. They had them on antibiotics when the child had the flu. There was one mistake after another. Who's the actor from Enemy Mine? He was in The Right Stuff. What's that actor's name? He's actually friends with one of my friends. Yeah, Dennis Quaid. They almost killed his kids. But see, if he wasn't a celebrity, they would have taken his kids. You understand? That's what they do. And the most dangerous thing in America is a hospital. And yeah, and I am. I mean, I am nasty about this. Things are out of balance with these people. So I don't know what I would do. You know, quite frankly, it would depend on the situation, but obviously it's like baiting someone or daring a 5-year-old to go jump off a bridge to say, or, you know, I dare you to do this, I dare you to stick that in a light socket. You know, what are you going to do when the cops come and take your kids? I mean, I don't think anybody should say what they're planning to do if they were planning something. I always get these emails, why don't you call for a revolution? And of course, you know, it's usually a provocateur or a Fed, but sometimes it's real people. And of course, they're the ones that want you to go out and cause some violence so they can like stir up a fight at a high school to like see 2 guys beat the hell out of each other. But I would probably not resist it. And then I would destroy everyone's lives, suing them over and over again, going after everyone, following people when they go to bars, showing them picking up hookers. I mean, I would ruin everyone's life involved. And they all know that. I would absolutely destroy everyone politically. But see, I have a little bit of political power. But even before, back when I was just a little local talk show host, I learned how to go after bad guys. So I would get my kids back. But see, the state likes it to be out in the open. They're taking innocent families' kids and keeping them no matter how much evidence there is, because it just trains everybody to accept it. How many times have you seen parents that show their boys or girls hugging each other? You know, one's in a towel, the other's in the towel, and they just hug each other. And then they call it pedophilia and take their kids. But the UN can be running giant child kidnapping rings worldwide in the news, and no one gets in trouble. The truth is, they're the perverts, they're the scum, they want your kids. They have an appetite for your kids. They'll be right next to a social worker that actually means well, that's such a bleeding heart airhead that they just go along with it. There's a reason CPS has a 50+% turnover rate per year, because all these people go get degrees, generally because they were abused, and they really want to go, quote, help people. And then they find out, oh my God, this is really a pervert guild. This is really a pedophile guild. This is really, or a mercenary guild. A lot of it's just buying and selling the kids, where they can get 200, 300, 400, 500,000 per child through the adoption rackets. See, because of abortion, there are more people wanting to adopt each year than there are kids they can even get. And so that's why people get kids from South Korea, kids from China, kids from, you know, Africa, kids from Latin America. But in a lot of those cases, the kids are kidnapped too. But let me tell you, these rich families, they will pay $200,000, $300,000, $400,000. They'll want to see photos. The cops, a lot of times, will actually take photos of the parents that are provided to the adoption agencies. I mean, if you've got a bombshell-looking wife, and I don't care if you're young professionals. If you're a good-looking couple, you look like Clark Kent. Because I've talked to people involved. I mean, black hair, blue-green eyes, it's over. That's the rarest. You walk into one of those hospitals, they are hunting your butt. I remember my dad saying, because he worked in rewiring jaws and stuff in major Dallas hospitals when I was like 15, getting my driver's license, going to take the driver's course. But he goes, do not sign the organ donor card. And I said, why? And he goes, well, some hospitals won't give you care if you've signed it. They'll let you die. And I said, well, and I didn't believe him. And he said, I've been told it goes on in Dallas. 60 Minutes years later, I didn't believe him, but I still didn't sign it. 60 Minutes reported that Dallas and Chicago were the two things they covered. You can look this up. Were killing people for their organs. Authoritarian control freaks throughout history have sought to make populations dependent. The United Nations openly has talked about using food as a weapon against the third world and the industrialized first world. State Department Memorandum 200, developed by Henry Kissinger, called for destroying the food capacity, not just of the United States, but every country in the world, so they could use food scarcity as a political weapon of control. Just a decade ago, less than 10 million Americans were on food stamps. 4 years ago, it was 25 million. It's now reached almost 50 million. Socialist health care is designed to destroy our health care system. The establishment wants you to be a bunch of cowardly, dumbed-down people who can't stand up for yourselves. That's why they're rushing to try to restrict citizens owning firearms. Because since the early 1990s, gun ownership has gone straight up, while violent crime has gone straight down by 49%. And globalist-controlled strongholds like Chicago and New York, where they've taken the citizens' guns, have the highest crime rates in the world. What am I getting at here? The system doesn't want you to be self-sufficient. That's why I promote the fact that you should go out, buy firearms, and go take lessons and learn how to use them. I want you to stand up for your birthright of liberty and freedom. During a serious meltdown, they're going to tell you, hey, you want food? Turn in your guns. And that's why we need to put the globalists in check. And then finally bring them to checkmate by being self-sufficient, by being prepared, by having a garden, by learning how to can your own foods, by having friends and family and community that will stand together. But at the heart of that is having quality, storable foods. And that's why I went out more than a decade ago and found the very best food company to be my sponsor, eFoods Direct. They're the company that I personally use for my emergency food storage preparation, whether it be for natural disasters or the tyranny that is intensifying. So give them a call, 800-409-5633. That's 800-409-5633. Or eFoodsDirect.com/Alex to find the weekly and monthly specials. But they're always running the specials where you can get the free 6 meals and the eFoods Direct audio CD put together by the experts in storable foods to answer all your questions, the eFoods planning guide, the eFoods brochure, the eFoods catalog, plus 6 free meals, creamy potato soup, tortilla soup, and cheesy chicken rice, so you can sample the high-quality storable foods from eFoods Direct. They've got a bunch of other specials.
The 2-week food supply provides one adult with 81 servings of healthy, delicious, storable food for 14 days.
The 1-month food supply provides 192 servings for 28 days.
And then there's the 1-month family food pack. It will change the way you look at the food in your pantry. Every time you eat one of these meals, you are eating healthy, delicious food and saving a lot of money.
The 3-month food supply, 576 servings of storable food for 91 days.
And the 1-year food supply will provide you with 2,304 servings of healthy, delicious, storable food for 1 full year.
Your meals are as delicious and nutritious tonight as they'll be in 25 years.
Bottom line, there's a bunch of specials at eFoodsDirect.com/Alex. You can also call them at the toll-free number on your screen, and they can send you a catalog with all the specials detailed and tell you about the weekly and monthly specials that they're always running. eFoodsDirect.com/Alex to find all the specials, or call the toll-free number. And so in closing, when you buy from eFoodsDirect.com, you are supporting the radio broadcast, the nightly news, the magazine, the films, and everything we're doing. Because we're not like MSNBC or Media Matters that get government and corporate funding to bring down America and bring in tyranny. We are funded by our sponsors and you, the viewers and listeners that support them. Again, that's eFoodsDirect.com/Alex or 800-409-5633. And when you're also visiting Infowars.com or PrisonPlanet.com, you can click on the banners to take you to the weekly and monthly specials. It's like the Hank Williams Jr. song, "A Country Boy Can Survive," because you can't starve us out and you can't make us run, because these boys were raised on shotguns. Well, there aren't really a lot of good old boys left anymore, are there? And those that are out there are demonized and are enemy number 1 by Homeland Security. And good old boys come in all shapes, colors, and sizes. They're people that aren't chumps, who understand that they're going to take care of their family and that nobody else is. They're people that understand that if somebody else is taking care of them, that makes them a slave. And that the government doesn't want you dependent because they want to build a great future for you. They want to get you dependent so they can social engineer us. So the answer is get self-sufficient, become men again, and tell the New World Order to go straight to hell. Alex Jones signing off for Infowars.com and eFoods Direct, our great sponsor. You know, I've got this reporter here, and I was saying search engine tasering people to make them ask questions, and he goes, well, I found the case in Niagara. The judge said police can taser you to make you, open your mouth, give them a DNA sample. And then I found one out of Florida where they tasered a guy on a gurney to make him pee in a cup. And he goes, well, those are just small towns. Yeah, this is Orlando, Florida, where this happened. No, it's federally trained pain compliance. I've had former police chiefs on. I've talked about it. The feds, this is going all over the world. It's global standardization, are training that if someone doesn't answer their questions, taser you. If someone doesn't follow every order, well, what about the Fifth Amendment? I mean, what about I saw people commenting on the YouTube video from the show last week where I talked about how we got the business census that was going to be every 10 years. Now it's going to be every year. They're talking about some businesses every month. And people are like, I didn't get this census. It isn't real. Well, you don't run a business, dummy. It's like how people will do backflips, mental gymnastics to not look at what's going on and to always say that's an isolated incident. No, it's not an isolated incident. We had police in Austin a couple months ago say we couldn't hand out our magazine. And then they said, by the way, you can't have InfoWars on your car parked at a parking meter. We say that's a violation of the advertising zoning ordinance. And then I got on the phone with him because I wasn't down there. And I said, are you joking? And he goes, look, I'm a listener. I don't like doing this. I've been ordered to do this by the city. I said, you get your boss down there. So then the deputy head of zoning enforcement comes down. And I said, fine, I'm going to sue you all. I'm coming. And then they backed off. But the point is, I can't have a bumper sticker until I threaten to sue you, lunatics. The cop should have said, no way I'm going to write them tickets for bumper stickers on their frickin' car. Excuse me. Excuse me, man, I'm sick of this. And I'm sick of sitting here trying to get this country out of a coma. And it really made me even sicker when I got down there and the cops were all, hey, man, we'll take photos with you. We're all listeners. We're all nice guys. We didn't like doing it. But, exactly. Why did you follow the order? Why did you write the tickets to our street team? Why? 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 Why do all these good people go along with this? I'm sick of it. It's like Arte Saveda, the police chief's in my office a few weeks ago. He's on air. And I'm sitting there talking to him, and I go, look, I know you guys can dial in the Threat Fusion Center thing and find my cell phone wherever I'm at without a warrant. And him and the deputy cop, his assistant he brought with him smiled through the window. And Arte Saveda goes, well, so what? What do you have to hide? What do I have to hide, buddy? Why do you have walls up around your house? It's not because you have something to hide, but you know what? You might want to go get on the toilet in privacy. You might want to argue with your wife in privacy. You might want some privacy, buddy. It's my privacy, and I'm not guilty because I want it. You freak. Government is making everything more and more secretive, arming to the teeth, giant underground bunkers full of food. And we go, hey, we better get prepared. Something's going on. Oh, that's crazy. And then the government lies and says they don't have COG plans for the public. The government lies and says, well, we're not planning anything. There's nothing going on here, which makes it even more creepy. I was talking to this Esquire guy, and he goes, well, of course, we're a big country. They've got to do that. And, yeah, they've got to have basic plans if a tidal wave hit the West Coast or a meteor hit something. But they're not even doing that. They have zombie drills all over the country where they practice with heavy machine guns mowing down masses of Americans. And they used to do it without calling them zombies, but the Marines are like, we're training to kill Americans. So they went, oh, it's a zombie drill. It's a zombie drill to dehumanize us. All right, we're going to end the insanity here. I'm going to take 50 phone calls in the next hour. 50 phone calls. Toll-free number to join us, 800-259-9231. 800-259-9231. I'm kind of doing the voice of Jack Van Impe's announcer. Jack Van Impe and Rexella Van Impe. Revelation. It's always a fun show to watch just to imitate that guy's voice. He's awesome. Who's the announcer's name on the Van Impe show? Let's go ahead and talk to Lauren in Texas. You're on the air, Lauren. Come on down.
Hey, Alex. How about this? I'm listening to the radio show. It's awesome. You're on fire today. How about all the info warriors right now, like around the walls of Jericho, we give the loudest battle cry that the pinko commies have ever heard.
Yeah! Ah, yeah! I'm going to yell that loud. I don't have much voice left, but you're right. Yeah!
Yeah!
Yabba dabba doo! Yeah!
The anticipation's been killing me.
Shake it off, man. Shake off the mind control. It all begins with running around with your tongue hanging out.
Hey, actually, the last time I called was when Lou Rockwell was on, and I was laid up on the couch with pain pills. I was out of my mind, and I was telling him, I'm ready to tear my house down because of the way they're treating Ron Paul. And I wanted to, I never did get to my point. I wanted to call him out and ask him why he never did clear the air about the so-called, quote-unquote, racist newsletters. But, that's for another day. I actually wrote my points down, and I want to go down it. This is the call for the course of action. I think maybe you needed to hear from me. My car didn't start today. I got to, change a starter out after we're done. But, I'm glad I'm here at home, and I can have a battle cry with my brother in arms. First, are you still there?
Yes, I am. I'm going to move quick through calls. I love your call. Go ahead. I just want to get to everybody else.
Here we go. I'm going to go down the list. First off, this is a common alliance. This isn't a leader-follower. You're not my leader. You didn't make me the way I am. I am the way I am, and I saw a brother in arms who saw the world as it is. We're not really, addressing problems to identify the enemy. We know the enemy. It's a potato. Every time I read the news, I'm saying, oh, well, a potato's got eyes. A potato's a root family. It grows in the dirt. It's brown. It tastes good when you put salt and pepper and butter on it. It's a potato. So we know it's a potato. So what are we going to do with the potato? All right, first off, Info Warrior Street Team. I think it would be a good idea to maybe have a press pack with like 5 or 10 T-shirts, hats, bumper stickers, all the kind of good stuff that you want to go do person to person. Camp out in front of Walmart, camp out in front of the mall, hand out the information. Let's get 100,000 street teams all across the country handing out T-shirts, bumper stickers, brochures, flyers, shaking hands, meeting babies, whatever. All right, second off, I think something that we maybe might work. I don't really know of any law that prevents somebody from burning their Social Security card. So how about we get, 1 million people, 3 million people in front of the Federal Reserve, and we all burn our Social Security card and we secede from, the IRS tax.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. This is one argument that no establishment can have, even if they claim they're altruistic. The private Federal Reserve and the 17th Amendment, turning our senators into federal minions, the income tax created the same year, paid to the private Federal Reserve, is a foreign, alien, fourth branch of government, and we've even got Greenspan on PBS saying they're above the law, and that no agency of government can investigate them. And it's just horse manure. I want the Federal Reserve out of my life now. God bless you, and I appreciate your call. Well, the Palm Beach Post is reporting the sheriff wants people to call us if the guy down the street hates the government and talks bad about the government. We're going to go knock on their door because there's such an epidemic of people attacking the government. No, it's the government 9 times out of 10 attacking us and saying we need to turn our guns in. And in New York now, if you have a toy lighter, they fine you $60,000 if it looks like a gun. So the image of the gun, there's no lobby for the image of the gun, so they ban that. And Obama is the lobby for immigration reform, i.e. North American Union open borders, and the voting bloc that will be put on welfare and then vote to take our guns, like they've done in Mexico, to have the highest crime rate in the world, and 60,000 dead in the last 6 years. A president to pitch immigration overhaul in Mexico. Isn't that just cute? And I've got several articles here I'm going to get to after I take a bunch of calls where you've got so-called leftists, and they're not leftists. Thomas Jefferson was a liberal. These people are authoritarians posing as liberals, just like a lot of neocons pose as conservatives or constitutionalists and are really flaming authoritarians. All over the country. I've got a CNN article, and I've got another one here. It's actually on my phone. I didn't punch it up on the computer yet, where the police say, the people have confessed, to staging attacks on themselves. Women saying Republicans threatened to rape them. And then it turns out the posts were posted by them. The lesbian that said that she was attacked and the men came in and raped her and scraped stuff on her. You had a bunch of women caught scraping the word Obama on their faces and stuff and then blaming it on Obama. You've had the people do it to themselves and then blame it on Obama supporters. And then also do it and say that, vice versa. You've had Obama people say they were attacked by racists because of Obama and it was staged. The public engages in false flags constantly. Constantly. It's going on and on and on. Yeah, here it is. I'm going to go over a few of these articles here after we go to some of your phone calls. But absolute creepville taking place all over the United States as the public just has no connection to the Bill of Rights and Constitution. And so why not just be completely overrun? Here's another one. Suicide rate skyrockets among middle-aged Americans. And that is an article out of Breitbart. And they ask, why is it skyrocketing so much? And again, I'll get to that after we take calls. Well, I mean, gee, why are the troops committing suicide in mass? I see these articles going, top psychiatrists don't know why. They have no idea. From the Pentagon. Gee, the Pentagon's not going to tell on itself, making people serve 5, 6, 7, 8 tours. that Sergeant Bales that went and reportedly killed 18 people in some type of delusional rage, he was under psychiatric care, reportedly on psychotropic drugs, but they won't say which ones. He'd had part of his foot blown off. He was being sent back for a 4th tour. He'd been arrested by police for going bonkers on his wife, reportedly, and out in the woods. That all got expunged. And then they sent him back, and then he watched a IED blow up an armored vehicle and kill his buddy, and watched his buddy bleed out. And then the next night, he climbs over the wall and goes and slowly kills and burns 18 people, including children, at multiple houses in a sleepwalking rage. Yeah, you put somebody, I mean, folks, they put prosthesis on these guys now and go get back out there. I mean, you wonder why they're committing suicide. Last numbers I saw, 7 times any previous record from the end of the Vietnam War in '74. Now you wonder why Americans are? Because this is a screwed up society, that's why. Filled with preservatives and GMO and a toxic culture of death. And I'm just railing and flailing around. I want out of it too. I'll tell you the story and then I'll go to your calls, I promise. I said I'd take a lot of calls, which I never can do, so. Because I'm out of control. I just do what I do. I went to the Mid-America Science Museum that has the biggest Tesla coil reportedly in the world. That's what they say, and the biggest one I've ever seen. And I've seen a couple of them. And I'm going to upload that video to YouTube, but my phone's not been logging into YouTube since I dropped it in the sink the other day. So we're going to try to get these videos up. Or when I get back tomorrow, we'll do it. But the point is that they had this thing called our Underground Arkansas. Underground Arkansas. And I thought you'd go in there to be like crystals and little gnomes or something, you know, Alice in Wonderland, or it would show what like underground Arkansas is like as a miner. No, it's like a CIA torture box. They, you know, put people in, they torture, you know, they lock them up in a tube or a box. That's what it was. And my kids go in there, and there wasn't a sign saying don't put adults in this. So I'm not claustrophobic. I mean, I've gone spelunking and, you know, things. I don't particularly, and I've done some cave diving, open cave diving, you know, gone back in like 50 feet and still conk my head and stuff, and I, you know, just don't particularly like it. But the point is that I go into this thing, and I go all the way back into there, and it's one tube, barely, because I'm a big guy, I weigh 250 pounds. I got broad shoulders and good size, you know, belly when I'm at least sitting down. And I'm going through, I'm like, man, okay, this has got to be the one tube. So there's another tube and another tube and another tube and another tube and another tube. And my kids are laughing and having fun because they're little, they can go through it. And then you go through like these nightmare things with like these ropes you're in. And when I got out of it, I was sweating and stuff. And I'd eat a big barbecue meal here, one of the best barbecues I ever had. I think it's called McLared's or something. Bill Clinton's favorite barbecue place. I later learned it is world famous, but on the cover of Playboy magazine, because they had that hanging out. The place was like criminally good. Thank God I don't live in Hot Springs, Arkansas, folks, because I thought the best barbecue I had was in Memphis, and I love Texas barbecue. Don't get me wrong, but this was sinfully delicious. And it's a real dive, too, which made it even better. And so I've got that in my stomach, and I come out sweating, and I had this realization. I said, this is what I feel like with the New World Order. It's like claustrophobia light. I mean, I was drawn to media and TV and radio because I didn't like them trying to demonize private property rights, demonize the family, demonize men, demonize the Second Amendment, because it upset me at a fundamental, free-spirited, rebellious, whatever you want to call it, level. And I realized the feeling I get right now is like being in those tubes. So people want to know what powers the show? That's what's powering it. That's why I'm angry. Because by the 10th tube, I was ready to get out of there. Imagine a big mess in almost total darkness. In fact, it was total darkness until you come out in these areas with a little bit of black light. I mean, can you imagine the people they lock up, like the North Vietnamese would do to our soldiers, in like cages for years, smaller than their bodies, and they would get off on it? All those, you know, Asian forms of torture, and then all the medieval European tortures, and then the tortures they do. And it's because they like it, folks. You know who the CIA hired to run those torture camps? People, jail guards from around the world who'd been kicked out for raping people and torturing people. The truth is they torture because they like to do it. And they like to get fake confessions, and they like the power of it. Look at our culture. It's obsessed with torture and stuff and darkness. And it just absolutely makes me want to throw up. And I'm telling you, being under the New World Order is like watching our whole society in tubes that get smaller and smaller. And there's all this propaganda of why it's good and why we're lucky and how it's a great thing and how we should appreciate it. No, I know it's bad. History shows it's bad. And our founders said the stuff that's going on is bad, bad, bad. And any amount of perfume can be put on this, but it's still, this whole New World Order is a dead, rotting pig in a box. I'm telling you, that's what it is. And I had this epiphany for the last couple of tubes, and I kind of relaxed, and I was like, this is what I feel like talking about the New World Order. This feeling, it's disgusting. All right, I said I'd go to your phone calls. I'm trying to punch up the phone system. We're gonna skip this network break. I'm gonna skip this break, as I said I'd take nothing but calls, and I've got to follow that promise by skipping breaks if I have to. It's like Salon says, all I want is money. Actually, it's kind of true. I do want money to destroy the New World Order. Let's go ahead and talk to Joe in Illinois. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Hi, Alex. Happy Police Adoration Day from Springfield, Illinois. The cops are honoring themselves today with formations and parades. And I just want to say that I totally respect the dead, but I respect all dead. You know, coal miners, in my opinion, are heroic people. And
oh, my God, I really respect coal miners now. It's funny you mentioned that, yeah. That's a dangerous profession, yeah.
After they're told that you're going to die if you go down there to save your buddy, they go anyway. So, and here's what I want to compliment you. I know you hate compliments, but the two things that keep me listening and keep me interested, but aside from the information, which the seeking of truth, is this. Two things. Your work ethic is second to none. Okay, I was listening to you when you used to go 8 hours a day on air. The second thing is you never use profanity on air, and that is very commendable. It's worth complimenting. I hope people appreciate how hard it is to sit and rant and rant and rant and never say Hades instead of hell, okay? I mean...
Well, I know we have children listening, but exactly, but sometimes stuff is so bad... You know, you've got to, like when the police are saying, burn that effer down, and then said they didn't mean that with Dorner, you have to quote them without, you have to say the effing, because it's the police that said it on the scanner. But yes, I do try to keep the show as clean as possible.
That's just it's a statement to your, what I would call your intelligent pursuit of a scholarly type, environment. Ignorance, people who have no other, words to use, cuss and swear, like Joe Rogan. I mean, I'm not putting him down, and especially the guy that criticized Dondi. That guy couldn't make he talked about how high his IQ was, and he couldn't even complete a sentence without... Yeah,
that video that's up on Infowars.com right now, I think the headline's MSNBC gas discredits themselves. It should be, globalist minion destroyed by history. I mean, history is kryptonite to that guy. And you notice in the interview he did with Dude, and he's like the darling of MSNBC and stuff like that, it's going to hurt us. Like, go out and confront Infowars, shut them up. The guy is sitting there going, and Alex says there was nobody killed at Sandy Hook, and nobody killed the Boston bombing. You're a liar. And Rob Dude goes, we didn't say that. We said there was a drill. And we said that they'd probably have connections to the FBI and CIA, which they did. And now they're having him confess with no proof while he's sedated in a hospital bed. You're not supposed to do that. That clearly, because that means they could set people up, and the government has a history of framing and setting people up. Shut up, you effing Infowars, you scum. I got a high IQ, and the government ain't doing nothing wrong. And by the way, folks, I love Northern voices. I'm not making fun of Yankees. I like to do redneck voices, too. In fact, I think I've been reincarnated from Elmer Fudd. And I would actually like to speak like that all the time. Joe, I appreciate your call. It's good to hear from you there. Let's go to Rod in Oregon calling about the dumbing down of America, which is the conspiracy theory. Go ahead, Rod.
Hey, Alex, God bless you, brother. And I pray every day for you, your family, all your staff and their families, and everybody that's dealing with this, exposing the crap that's going on. Excuse the language. But anyway, I had a comment to make, and I had a question to ask you, too. But because of your show that's been going on, there's a couple other things that came to my attention. I wanted to make a comment. Why is it that everybody can keep referring this government, or this corporate fascist regime, as I call it, as a government? For one thing, it always surprises me, and number two, also, I wanted to talk about the dumbing down of America. I know in a couple of your shows you were, I guess it was sarcastically or whatever, saying, USA, USA. And it's like, no matter how stupid people are, even with these petitions that have been, these mock petitions that have been going out, is incredible. Banning pressure cookers now, trying to turn a police state into more of a police state, and people just mindlessly, and you can just see their body brainlessly just sign this stuff. It's absolutely amazing. But anyway, getting to my point, most of your listeners, I'm sure, remember Flip Wilson. And remembering Flip Wilson, you have to appreciate the way he told stories. But there was one skit that he did that I remember. You may have heard it. Maybe some of your listeners may have heard it. But it was called "Do Ruby Magonia Ring a Bell?" Well, anyway, in the middle of this skit, there was a part where Flip Wilson was talking about the story in this, and you have to just picture how Flip Wilson did this. And at this time, it was funny, but today, it's so right on and of reality, it's unbelievable. But he talks about this king called King Begonia, who ruled the kingdom of Begonia, and he says, like he says, that's why they call it Kingdom of Begonia, because that was his name. So King Begonia would come out on his perch, and all the townspeople would be gathering around to listen to his big speech, and and all the people are out there going, "Yay, King Begonia! Yay, King Begonia!" And King Begonia would come out with his speech, and he would say, "All those that have anything, it shall be taken away from them." And everybody's still cheering for King Begonia, King Begonia. And then he says, "And all those that have nothing shall have even less." And the people are just still cheering, "Yay, King Begonia." I won't finish the whole story because it gets into it, but this was just a bit in the middle of this skit. And when you look at it today, that's exactly, it seems like, what's going on. No matter what happens.
In fact, we're going to send our reporters out. I think Mark Dice has already done that. We were planning it weeks ago, Great Minds Think Alike, to go out and say, let's ban pressure cookers now. In fact, I want that ask. We're going to do Man on the Street today in Austin. We're going to go up and say, we want, women's right to after-birth abortion. To be the law, and then have a printout of the Journal of Bioethics having an article about killing children up to age 3, and maybe print out the cover of The Case for Killing Granny on Newsweek, and then say, "Hi, we're here for." We're here for the death panels. I'd like to sign a petition that Austin, Texas, euthanize the old people. But you've got to say it's liberal, and then go, and as long as you go, that's the key. As we've shown in these, if you don't do the you've got to do that to activate their mind control to show. That's why NPR talks like that. It's all Delphi technique. It's very loving. Everything. I mean, if they could have tanks just going loving, loving, and people would walk and lay their children down in front of it for the treads to run over them. They would just dance around the blood. As long as the loudspeakers went liberal, liberal. Do you understand that? They would just worship Obama. Just all Americans should bow to Obama 100 times a day, and just have thousands of drones just bombing other countries with huge video screens of the bombs coming in and splattering everybody, and just mountains of dead people, and just worshiping that with just huge loudspeakers going, liberal, it's liberal. How's that sound?
Sounds great. Hey, one other thing, Alex.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Hey,
that's not as good as Flip Wilson's King Begonia.
Well, hey, one other thing you mentioned earlier about getting involved with the political arena and going to these meetings and doing all this kind of stuff and everything, and getting involved with this so we can take charge of some of these things. Well, anyway, I know a group of us here in Oregon, and this has been an ongoing issue right now for probably several years.
I'm sorry, I was being liberal.
That's all right. And the information that we have gathered right now, we have a sheriff's department and 8 county commissioners on the chopping block for racketeering and official misconduct with the evidence. We went to a meeting last night, and there was the fireworks going, but we have this on tape, video, and everything of the crimes that these people have committed, including the sheriff's department. For
yeah, put it on YouTube. Just like keep going after him, brother. Put it on YouTube, and we'll cover it. God bless you. Good to hear from you. Let's go to another one there. I was illustrating absurdity by being absurd there earlier. I think they should give the bombs what they dropped on Libya, and now that they're giving to Al-Qaeda to attack Syria with, they should give the bombs peace prizes. And they should give the UN forces that are involved in mass murder all over the world, they should give them peace prizes. They should give their bayonets peace prizes. They should put, like, bayonet cams on them when they stab villagers, just because, you know, that's cheaper than just blowing them up or shooting them, like they helped the globalists engage in Rwanda. Then they could give the machetes peace prizes. Let's go ahead now and go to the next caller here. I'm trying to punch up my call list. For some reason, it's not there. Who's up next here? Steve in Chicago. You're on the air, Steve.
Yes, sir. I want to say, hey, Rothschild, I'm not your Kapora. I'm not your Chalmer. I'm not your Nebish or Schlemiel. Do you read me? I wanted to also talk about a double agent Benedict.
I got to stop you, man. You've been calling for like 10 years. You have got the best voice. I want to get your phone number, even though you always call in with the same racist stuff. And not off what you just said with the Yiddish stuff, but like, you know, the anti-black stuff. You could have a career as a voice announcer with that voice. Sir, can you just say, the woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have miles to go before I sleep?
Maybe next time. I wanted to talk about Senator John McCain. He's a 3-star officer in the Latvian Army. He's the only officer, naval aviator, to successfully kamikaze his own aircraft carrier. Also, what did he do with the Keating bribe money? But I want to say one thing. You have an uncanny sense of being right. When you talk about these false flags, whether it's the St. Petersburg 1917 Bolshevik Revolution, where they burned down the Federal Criminal Archives and confiscated the guns, or it's the Bavarian Soviet Republic on April 14th, 1919, when they occupied Munich, and the state commandant, or the city commandant, he said, turn in all your weapons in 12 hours or you'll be executed. And one other thing, the Justice Ministry. When the Bolsheviks, when they occupied the Vienna Justice Ministry in 1927, the first thing they did, turn in your firearms. The other issues, you know, you were talking about the Cheka cork room, where they put you in a small confined area and slowly put corks in the wall so that you gradually suffocate. That's one of their tortures. But you mentioned this before about these women in the CIA. They call it Dora the Glove Maker. You read up on it. See if I'm not right.
All right, I want to come back to you. You've got to, but you've got to say McGruff helped take a bite out of crime. Say it. Yeah, groovy. We're back live. Your host, Alex Jones, here. Ladies and gentlemen, the media is now running around like chickens with their heads cut off, declaring the evil of Alex Jones, trying to twist or take things out of context, or taking some of my satire out of context, which is fine. Let them demonize. Let them say what they want. Let them write what they want. We are awakening humanity to the fact that there is a lot of stuff going on. I am your rude awakening. I am trying to be the wake-up call. What you wake up and see is your own issue. It doesn't mean you have to agree with me on everything, because I don't even agree with myself on everything. Sometimes I hear a rebroadcast and don't agree with what I said, the way it came off. It doesn't matter. At least I'm real. And it will be reality, not illusion and delusion, that will turn this country and this civilization around and point it back in the right direction towards the stars. Now, I'm very excited about Operation Greedy Goblin. I'm being sarcastic. That's not the name of the operation, but I think if Salon was claiming I had operations, they write about me every day now, demonizing me. I guess they like the attention when I talk about them. That would be Operation Greedy Goblin. We have Operation Awaken the Sleeping Giant. That is 11 memberships with one membership. You sign up and you can give a username passcode that you create to 11 people to be simultaneously logged on to see the video of the daily radio show that adds a lot of other video and information and clips and documents and articles and guests, and the nightly news. And you then also help fund our operation. Though I've kind of got InfoWars Nightly News set up where I've got InfoWars Nightly News set up. It's weird when you're trying to center yourself looking at an iPhone, 'cause it's like backwards. It's like trying to read something, when it's in a mirror. Yes, inch to my right. My right? Am I right now? I'm right? I think I'm good. The more I think about it, I haven't even been looking at the camera I'm on today, and I just kind of looked up and saw it was crooked on screen. What was I just now getting at? What was I talking about before that happened? Oh, yeah, PrisonPlanet.tv. Get a PrisonPlanet.tv membership today. Wake some people up. I mean, I would say most of your friends and family aren't going to end up using it. So I would go create a unique username passcode at PrisonPlanet.tv, or if you already have one and want to change it, that's fine. Don't share your passcode if it's to other stuff. Create a unique username passcode, and I would say send it out to 30 friends and family as an e-card, say, hey, here's your subscription gift to PrisonPlanet.tv. I'm allowed to share my subscription. Here's your gift. Go see Endgame. Go see the Obama deception. Go see this special report with Dr. Busby about the dangers of Fukushima radiation. Go see this report with this top scientist on the Harvard studies of sodium fluoride lowering IQ and reducing fertility, and then we show the documents where it was all planned. There is 11 years now, or really more than that, because I put a lot of the stuff on before I had PrisonPlanet.tv, but 11 plus years of material on PrisonPlanet.tv, and now it's up there the last few years in HD. You have the live streams and all the rest of it. They're not in HD, obviously, because you wouldn't be able to, on most computers, get an HD stream. But it's all there. So get a PrisonPlanet.tv membership today, and also get the new May issue that deals with the big questions of the Boston bombing. And the history of false flags, very important issue, and will probably sell out the fastest of any issue we've had. Most issues have sold out at cost, with 3 InfoWars full-size bumper stickers inside. And if you are in Central Texas, there are 60,000 in Austin and 20,000 in San Antonio, and then a few thousand others in some other hill country areas. You can go to restaurants or wherever, and when you see a stack of these, take 4 or 5 copies and give them to friends and family, but make sure they all get put up. Make sure, but do not put them on anybody's private property. Put them on your private property or in commons areas where it is common practice for people to put up bumper stickers. And there's restaurants where they want you to put your bumper sticker up. There's like the sides of bars where there's thousands of bumper stickers, stuff like that. But only put it in legal and lawful areas. And then again, if you want to order, say, 10 magazines at cost, you can get them for like $14. I think that's what 10 of the magazines cost, isn't it? Because that includes the shipping and everything. Okay, then you can have 30 bumper stickers. And these are high quality. These are like, the type that last years. So, ladies and gentlemen, now is the time. InfoWarsStore.com. Enough of that. Let's go ahead and continue to stir up the hornet's nest, folks. They're not going to like these bumper stickers going up everywhere. The average bumper sticker is seen thousands of times in a year. So this is going to be tens of millions more people that see InfoWars.com and ask, what is that? Steve in Chicago, look, your voice is so interesting. Can you just say, McGruff, help take a bite out of crime? Can you say that for me, Steve?
McGruff, help take a bite out of crime. Just like Alex. I learned it from
Oh, my
you.
gosh. I mean, you absolutely.
Jones. Robert E. Lee, Alex E. Jones, long live the Confederacy. Long live the Confederacy. One other thing, I'll leave you. This Chris Crispy character. Alex and I are not going to jail. You're going to jail, you 300-pound canary. What did you do with Hoffa's body? That's what we want to know.
He ate him. You know why Chris Christie's so fat and loves Obama? Do you know why, Steve?
No.
Because he ate him.
Well, they are cannibals.
I can see Media Matters now. Jones believes that the governor of New Jersey ate Jimmy Hoffa. He actually went to a health spa and took him as an enema. All right, I'm sorry. I'm completely out of control now. That's not a family thing to say. I apologize. He's got the rotting body of Jimmy Hoffa inside of him. All right, that's enough. Man, you cannot call in, Steve. Why don't you repent for oh, he just hung up. Steve hadn't got in a couple years. That guy's been calling me for like 17 years since I first got syndicated, and about 16 and a half. And that guy is hilarious. Did you hear him? You 300-pound canary. I think he weighs more than 300 pounds, man. Let's not be mean to fat people. I can go swim 2 miles, lift weights, run, do whatever I want. And I guess I have lost some weight. Anyways, I have like a body like Ben Grimm. Travis in Nebraska, you're on the air. I apologize for the comedy that was just happening, but who knows? I mean, it's as plausible as Obama's birth certificate being real. Anyways, go ahead, Travis. You're on the air.
Let me start by saying I appreciate what you're doing. I got two quick points I want to say, and then I'll get to what I initially called in for. I'm from Nebraska, and the woman, the lesbian that supposedly got held down by the 2 men and cut up, and they tried to kill her and burn her house down. Yeah, that happened here in Lincoln, Nebraska. I called red flag on that and became a serious striking post for all my friends because I'm supposedly a bigot. Second thing, you talk about martial law and police state. My sister last weekend in Kansas refused to do a breathalyzer because she wasn't drunk. They gave her a DUI, put her in jail anyways. And they said, yeah, you get a DUI.
No. That's what the courts do now is they just say you're drunk with no proof. It's like, well, you don't do the breathalyzer and you're sticking up for your Fourth Amendment. And I've seen reports where people are like coming out of church and they'll go, we're going to do a breathalyzer. No, I hadn't been drinking. No, you can't search my car. There was an article up yesterday on InfoWars where it's a warrantless checkpoint and they just arrest people if they don't let you search the car. I mean, of course, I have that in my film Road to Tyranny where she pulls up, Navy veteran, no criminal record, in town buying canning supplies. And they want to search her car and she goes, no, you can't. They're searching the cars. They're not like and they weren't looking for a bank robber. This was in Virginia. They were just doing checkpoints in a rural area, state police. And they get into her trunk while she's in handcuffs now in the back of the car. And they go, it's all on video on Road to Tyranny. And they go, look. And it was Patriot games. They were scared of a VHS tape of Harrison Ford. The word Patriot scared them because finally they'd found one of the terrorists. They talk about Patriots, they're terrorists. And then it got bad. They found a pocket constitution in my film Police State, and the police go, I don't know if this is legal. And they start going, God. Folks, I'm not joking. The head state police guy goes, I don't know if this is legal. Is that the right she's talking about? Does it mean she's allowed to have it? I don't know if this contraband is legal. That is extremist stuff. I mean, it was like Porky Pig with a lobotomy, and they take her to jail. And the trial was on TV, and the trial it was like that listener in Lyon County, Kentucky, Kelly Rushing. He calls in and goes, I got arrested for handing out your films. I gave a state police officer them, and then he pulled me over the next day and laughed to his wife on the cell phone. I've got the VHS Bandit. And they charged him 3 counts. It was a Ron Paul speech called Neocon on slow play VHS tape, my film Road to Tyranny, and one other film. And they said, this is anti-police and we find it threatening. And they took him to trial. Kelly Rushing was in the local paper. And I didn't believe him at first. I was still naive, like 11 years ago. This is right when the film came out. It was about 10 years ago. And so I called the paper, and they go, yes, Mr. Rushing is being charged. And I was like, okay. And then I called the judge at home. He's like, yes, Mr. Jones, can't talk about the trial, but yes, we're going to be having the trial next week. You'll have to follow it there. And I was like, what? So I called and got a hold of Kelly Rushing. I kept his number. You got to do a report on this for Esquire. And they went to trial and tried to put him in jail. I think it was 7 years. It was 5 years in jail for each count. If memory serves, it was going to be consecutive, 15 years in prison. And the cop got up, and Rushing got up in his own defense and said, I gave him the video, and I said, and then when he pulled me over a couple days later, the next day, whatever it was, he said that was anti-law enforcement. Oh, and one of the charges was also, the guy said, why did you give me that? And he said, well, I care about you and your family. And then that was a charge mentioning his family. Mentioning his family was another threat. And it turned out Kelly Rushing was like a prominent family, all, pillars in the community, bunch of, nice people. But in America, they have a hunger to literally put us in jail. So I'm sorry, Travis, in Nebraska. Yeah, I have the articles that you mentioned here. CNN's reporting on it, and so are others. There's an epidemic across the country of so-called leftists, they're really authoritarians, trying to act out and be a celebrity in Sovietization. And so, they put swastikas on their dorm, or they burn a cross in their yard, or they claim the right-wingers raped them, and then they have candlelight vigils, and if anybody questions it, they're evil. And then about 98% of the time, it turns out to be fake. But then there's epidemics all over the country of black folks who have been so filled full of racism by MSNBC that whites are inherently racist and evil, that groups of black people, like what the Klan used to do to blacks, are now beating up whites who are so domesticated on record, including newspaper people, they roll over and flop around on the ground. So I guess they deserve it in a way. I mean, that's just, and this is happening all over the country, and the media has articles about struggling with reporting it because it's just, maybe we deserve it. Maybe whites should all walk out in public and slit their throats. Find a black person, grab a big double-edged knife and just go, I am evil. And just spray blood all over me and go, just bleed out. And then Chris Matthews will dance in the blood, and it'll be a big celebration. That probably wouldn't, because whites are being murdered, tortured, killed, attacked all over the country, and there's never going to be a candlelight vigil. The news won't even say that it's blacks doing it. And again, I love black people, but there are racist black people filled full of this whole thing, and that's all the media trying to create division in this country. The media wants to create division and wants to keep people fighting with each other in this nation. So what do you think? I think they should erect giant wood chippers in every town center with a run by the city and police, so it's all safe and for the children, and that people that want to prove that they're bad, evil whites that want to prove that they're bad, that they just walk up the stairs, they turn it on, and everybody claps, and you throw yourself into a high-powered wood chipper. How does that sound?
Sounds amazing. But the reason that I did call, it's like having scales taken off of your eyes. In July 2nd of this past summer, I was playing flag football, scraped my elbow. I developed an abscess in my armpit.
Because you're a racist.
Yeah, because I'm racist. No, and long story short, I went septic shock, everything. They couldn't tell me what was wrong with me in the hospital. It was a miracle, like a 1% chance of me surviving it. I had 5 surgeries and 5 or 6 surgeries, 3 days ICU for a week, in the hospital for about a month. It's a parasite that they couldn't identify, that came out of Southeast Asia. I mean, I bet I don't even know how many CDC guys coming in and saying, what were you doing? What did you eat for the past month?
You're being, hold on, you're being racist again. Yeah, no, here's the deal. The third world takes antibiotics like it's candy. It's sold in all the shops. All this antibiotic cream, ointments, the soaps here are making the bugs absolutely high-powered. Within 3 generations with most insects, they become resistant or immune. Within 10 generations, almost all of them become completely immune to poison. What do you think happens with bacteria, whose life cycle is a lot quicker than even insects? Arachnids, bugs, you name it, whatever the type of insect is. And you're absolutely right. There is just hordes of disease pouring in and I feel sorry for the third world. I mean, I wish we could help them. But the point is, instead, America and the globalists and their lust to collapse things quicker and to get a voting bloc that has no history of freedom, there are just parasites and brain parasites and weird mosquitoes. And I mean, look at fire ants. They came from Brazil, where now under globalism, I mean, it's kind of like Westerners coming here who were immune to smallpox or resistant because all their ancestors had already died from it, so they had the genetics to be resistant, and it wiped out most of the natives. That wiped out some estimates are 90% of the natives, so they'd have to even be killed. And again, that was wrong. But the point is that what were you getting at with this loving parasite? What type of loving parasite was it, you racist?
I survived. I went from 185 to 148 in 3 weeks. It was a miracle. The doctors, it was a whole family.
What is the loving parasite racist?
Okay. Anyway, since I've walked out of that hospital, I have been called by different government agencies. They've identified themselves as a bureau of something, my taxes. They've asked, doesn't matter what. I bet I've had 10 or 11 phone calls, and they say the same thing every single time. Where are you living? What are you doing? Where are you working? Are you married? Has your family gotten sick? We'll be in contact with you in the next 2 weeks. And I mean, I'm getting calls from all over Minnesota, Ohio.
What is the parasite? What is the parasite?
Penicillium arfilii, and it's an unidentified form of Penicillium arfilii that they think came from Southeast Asia, from a scrape on your elbow from flag football.
Sir, prove that you're not racist. Worship the government today. And I hear you. No, folks, I'm being sarcastic. No one go throw themselves on wood chipper.
Hi, this is Mike Adams, the Health Ranger, with some news about some new additions to the InfoWars store. You know, good health is freedom. When you're healthy, you're not a slave to the medical system. Everything works well, your brain, your body, even your spirit. You're a healthier person. And to help support that great health, Alex has asked me to source the cleanest, most potent superfoods and other similar products in the world and bring them to the InfoWars store. So we've done that. The brand name is Health Ranger Select, and we're starting out right now with these 3 products. We've got Himalayan salt from Pakistan, formed hundreds of thousands of years ago in an ancient seabed long before modern pollution destroyed much of the oceans. This is loaded with trace minerals, and it's pristine, true, full-spectrum sea salt. We've also got Natural Attitude Turmeric. It's an extract of turmeric, very potent, tastes great, alcohol-free. This is from organic turmeric out of India. And we've also got Clean Chlorella. And we sourced and did research on all the chlorella sources around the world, and we found the 2 cleanest sources that have the lowest levels of any kind of contaminants. In fact, this one is virtually free of all metals and all contaminants. It's called Clean Chlorella, and it's about 2/3 protein, and it's got chlorophyll and chlorella growth factor in it. Check it out online. It's an amazing superfood that athletes are using and people are using to help support healthy lifestyles. It's fantastic. This is all packaged in our certified organic facility here in Central Texas. There we follow USDA certified standards, and we're audited every year by the USDA certifier to make sure that we comply with all organic standards. That, combined with the fact that we only source super clean superfoods and raw materials from around the world, means that our products represent the cleanest and most potent products that you'll find across the natural products industry. Check all of these out under the Health Ranger Select brand name at the InfoWars store, InfoWarsStore.com. And we'll be bringing you more of these in the near future. Thanks and take care.
You know, ladies and gentlemen, I get a little bit cynical sometimes and dark on air because this stuff gets to me. I have extreme empathy. Not because I'm some goody two-shoes person. I just have basic instincts. When I see all this death, all this destruction, all this corruption going on, and the government, they tell us when we're supposed to care. And I know I've been obsessing on that lately. But I don't just turn it on and off. Like, don't you care about the Boston bombing and those that died? Yes, I do care. And I want to get to the bottom of who killed them or who let terrorists kill them. And I don't want their deaths to be used as sacrifices to convert America to a police state for the security of the state. There's always that excuse, and every time it leads to hell on earth. That's what I'm getting at here. So Travis in Nebraska, finishing up, say the name of that parasite again so we can pull it up on screen for TV viewers. What are they saying it is, Travis?
They sent my blood to 6 or 7 different places, and they all came back, we can't identify this. The best they could do is say it's a strand of, I hope I'm pronouncing it right, Penicillium arfilii, I believe, and they said the closest relative it has is out of Southeast Asia. So it was like a
well, penicillium, well, it could have come in on dust and stuff against the atmosphere. It could have come in from outer space. But, I mean, penicillium, isn't that in a fungus family?
Yeah, it's a fungus,
or a mold family, yeah.
Yep.
All right, very interesting. Travis, just go with it. You should have given your body over to the fungus and have been one with it, like in Creepshow. I'm glad to hear you're better, man. God bless you. Man, I tell you, I ran into so many people in Hot Springs, Arkansas, where I'm at right now. We extended our stay because one of our kids got a cold. Been a lot of people sick this year. And so we were like doing the show from here, and we're now coming back tomorrow. But I'm coming to you from a very historic place. The hotel was nice and let us have this through the broadcast, and I'm going to plug the hotel tomorrow right before I leave. We've already had, let me not exaggerate, about 15 different groups of people show up, figuring out where I'm at. And you feel really bad, hanging out with them, taking photos and stuff when you got to go somewhere. And they're inviting you to dinner and stuff. But just, I tell you, Arkansas is just the nicest people. I mean, I've been all over the country, and I've been coming here since I was a kid, but Arkansas, that's why we stayed more days. We're just having a great time. And I'll be back live on the radio tomorrow, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Nightly News is coming up this evening. I may compose myself more and do a video Skype into the show tonight because I got a bunch of news I want to cover. But we're going to go in about 5 minutes of overdrive, too, to make sure that I can get to these calls that have been holding. Tom in North Carolina, you want to talk about the Colorado theater shooter. Never mind the man behind the curtain. What's your take on that, sir?
Yes, sir. Alex, it's a pleasure to talk to you. Okay. Am I understanding you right with the home story? Was he forced to take truth serum?
Yeah, you can pull up the articles. They've been drugging him the whole time. And, even get into it, there's just hundreds of points. And then now they're talking about drugging him with truth serum to make him tell the truth. Well, the sodium pentothal and the other stuff, the halcyon, other stuff they're putting him on, is what you do to make people just say whatever you want. You could put somebody on these drugs and say that you're, I Love Lucy, or say that you're a Easter bunny, and people will say they are. It's not really truth serum. It just makes you be so out of your head that you'll just babble. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know why I can't believe it. I mean, I really should with everything they've done. I mean, look what they're doing to the First, the Second, the Fourth, the Sixth Amendment. Why not go after the Fifth a little more? I know it says, that no one should be compelled to be a witness against himself. How is that not a violation? I just don't understand.
Yeah, type in Shell versus the United States. Dr. Charles T. Shell. I had his lawyers and people on. They kept him in jail for years after years. He was in charge with, I think it was Medicaid or Medicare fraud. And, no, not charged, arrested. And then they said, you're mentally ill for issuing a not guilty plea. We're going to put you in a prison and drug you with antipsychotics. This guy with no criminal record. And they just rotted him. And I just remember all these victims. Now, in this case, in a landmark decision, the United States Supreme Court imposed stringent limits on the right of a lower court to order the forcible administrative or antipsychotic medication to a criminal defendant. So the Supreme Court did the right thing in that, at least partially, who had been determined to be incompetent to stand trial for the sole purpose of making them competent and be able to be tried. Well, they just found him incompetent because he said it was a conspiracy, and the government can't do a conspiracy against you. That's mentally ill. Specifically, the court held that lower courts could do so only under limited circumstances. See, it was one of those things where it was both ways. And a specified criteria had been met. And I forget even what happened in the case, but I think they just ignored the ruling last time. I wonder whatever happened to him. Subsequent developments. In 2004, Sell was found competent to stand trial, and the trial was scheduled. A week before the trial began, the prosecution and defense claimed that he was mentally unfit for trial. And they'd kept him in jail for like some huge amount of time drugged. On April 18th of 2005, Sell pleaded no contest to federal charges of fraud and conspiracy to kill a federal agent. Yeah, that was it. He was at a shooting range, and they had an undercover there, and he talked crap about him. And they showed him after serving 8 years without trial in federal prison. It's like that guy in New Mexico had been in jail for like 3 years, being pulled over for a parking ticket or something. There wasn't even a record of him. He was like, had long hair and fingernails and was like, and they just shoved food under it. I think they should have just shoved them all in a wood chipper. I say blow the whole planet up to worship government. Government's in charge. Detonate the antimatter weapons. We worship you. Just, government is God. How's that sound? That sound good? Just worship government. Worship, worship, worship. All right, I apologize, folks. I'm a little out of control today. Dave in Texas, you're on the air, sir. Thanks for holding.
How you doing, Alex? Good to talk to you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I wanted to bring to your attention an event that happened to me earlier today. I went to pick up my 4-year-old grandson at pre-K at unfortunately, a government school.
A 4-year-old thought criminal? Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. And he had been written up. I got a note from his teacher. He had been written up for making a little gun sign with his hand at another student.
He made a gun sign with his hand. They show it all over TV and everywhere. And the cop, but the kids, all kids, play with toy guns. He made the sign of his hand. He's 4. What do we need to do? A lobotomy? What? His line disconnected. His cell phone dropped. I want to hear this story. Yeah, they're teaching everybody to be mentally ill basket cases where your pastry looks like a gun. You're kicked out of school. You brought a plastic knife to, zero tolerance. Zero tolerance is a prison. The schools are prisons. And speaking of New Mexico, and other states now have the big private security firms that own the prisons. They're now doing security at the schools and admittedly prepping everyone for prison. And a lot of these states pass laws agreeing to keep the prisons at 90% occupancy to get new prisons built in the state, because that's the jobs in our state, is the prison. Only jobs around here at Walmart and at the prison. But see, make them criminals work in an unair-conditioned prison, but then they work for 25 cents an hour, taking your jobs. The good old boys go, oh, is that why I don't have a job? Yes. What's the Kurt Vonnegut book where half the people are in prison and the other half are jail guards? That's pretty much where this is going.
Visit Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. When you're on the site, you can also tune in 24 hours a day to my daily radio broadcast. There's also a free iPhone app to listen to the syndicated radio show when and where you want.